It's December 1st, 2018. CCTV records 22-year-old Grace and her Tinder date, Jesse, getting ready to leave a bar. They had just met a few hours ago, but already they're about to head back to his place. From the outside, everything seemed to be going perfectly well. So well, in fact, that soon after they could be seen heading to a nearby hotel and up to Jesse's hotel room shortly after. Nobody could have expected that this was the last time Grace would ever be seen alive. The next day happened to be her birthday, and nobody was able to reach her all day, and the same was true even days after. It was like she disappeared off the face of the earth. Her friends and family quickly reported her missing, but to no avail. Meanwhile, Jesse was recorded on CCTV out and about, going up and down the elevator, carrying cleaning supplies, and what appeared to be a suitcase. A suitcase with contents that would shock everyone to the core. And what's even worse, the killer had another date lined up. And if the cops don't intervene and arrest him quickly, this girl, as well as countless others, could fall victim to this very same man.
Tell me what happened last Saturday.
From the beginning?
Yeah.
At 5:37 p.m. on December 1st, 2018, Grace, who just finished a backpacking journey from England to New Zealand, leaves her hostel to meet Jesse. Meanwhile, Jesse is having pre-date drinks at a local bar, downing several beers before the date begins. In fact, as he leaves the bar, you can still see at least 4 empty bottles sitting on the table. They meet in a popular spot where there's plenty of people, making Grace feel safe while she meets her date for the first time. But this will be a false sense of security, as Jesse has no plans to try anything untoward in public. He's going to wait until they're alone. Suspecting nothing, Grace accompanies Jesse to a bar where they drink together for over an hour before they head for a Mexican bar at 7:15 for more drinks, and yet another bar named Bluestone Room around 8:30 p.m. This will be where Jesse tries his luck and sees if he can get a little closer to Grace. At 8:54, they share their first kiss. This is when Jesse takes a trip to the bathroom and where Grace sends her very last message to anyone, telling her friends that it's going amazingly well and that she just clicks with him so well. She's probably excited to spend the night with a man that she genuinely likes. She could have had no idea that instead, he was about to end her life in one of the most horrific ways possible. The next morning, Grace's phone starts to receive a ton of messages. It's her birthday, and there are plenty of friends who want to send her their best wishes. Each and every one of these messages goes unanswered. The first sign that something is wrong is at 8 a.m., when Jesse enters the very same elevator, this time on his own, throwing the camera a suspicious glance. If you think he's just getting the birthday girl a morning coffee, then think again. During that night, Jesse killed Grace by strangulation, and now he's going to try and do everything he can to cover up his crime, and he needs to do it quickly, because he's already got another potential victim lined up. By 8:07 a.m., Jesse is in town and about to start the most eerie shopping trip possible. He starts at the warehouse on Elliott Street, where he buys a suitcase that he plans to hide Grace's body in. He checks out the width and depth of the suitcase to make sure it'll fit her, so he can dispose of her body before anyone can catch him. Then, 25 minutes later, he makes his way to another store, where he buys a number of cleaning products that will be used to clean up the murder scene. Then he returns to his apartment for a number of hours, reappearing at 10:42 a.m. before he jumps in a taxi and Apex Car Rental where he rents a car. But it's what he does next that's truly shocking, and puts pressure on the cops to discover and solve his murder as quickly as possible. As Grace's body lies in the apartment, Jesse goes on a date with another girl he'd met on Tinder. Given that he has all the equipment ready to hide one body, it's speculated that he planned this to be his second victim of the day. As he arrives at the bar, Jesse is wearing exactly the same clothing that he wore the night before, possibly the same clothes that he wore when he killed Grace. We are not sure whether Kempson was as pushy in his initial messages to this girl, but what we do know is that the conversation he struck up with her during the date not only brought up some major red flags, it downright terrified her. Allegedly, he wanted to talk to her about where to hide a dead body from the police. Right away, the date is over, and this girl's instincts may have just saved her life. It's hard to imagine the horror that she would have felt when she learned the truth about the man she just walked away from, certain that he likely had the same fate lined up for her as he did with Grace. At 8:56 p.m., we can see Jesse carrying a piece of equipment back to his apartment. More precisely, it's a carpet cleaner, and he's going to try and use that carpet cleaner to try and remove any trace of Grace's presence at his apartment. He's even got 2 bottles of cleaner in his hand, making sure he's got enough to get the job done. 30 minutes later, and we're greeted with the product of all his hard work. He's about to try and hide the body. He reappears in the elevator with a trolley carrying several luggage bags, one of which is the suitcase that he'd bought earlier that morning. It's way too heavy to carry, as inside is Grace's dead body. Of course, he can't walk through the streets with this amount of baggage, which is exactly why he hired the rental car. Minutes later, he's loading the rental car with all of the baggage, ready to make the next move in his attempt to cover up this murder, hiding the body in a place he thinks no one will find it. The next morning at 7 a.m., Jesse buys a shovel and heads back to his apartment, where he collects some clothing to take to the dry cleaners, destroying more potential evidence of his crime. But he's not done there, as he stops off at a random trash can, tossing a large trash bag inside. Then Jesse takes his rental car for a deep clean, paying particular attention to the rear of the vehicle, where he had stashed the suitcase containing Grace's body. And with that, his work was done. For the next 2 days, Grace's family and friends go through turmoil. Nobody has heard from her, she hasn't posted on any social media, and she isn't answering either of her 2 phones. Her family report her missing to Auckland police on December 5th. Grace's father, David, even flies to Auckland and makes a heartfelt appeal for his daughter's safe return.
Grace has been missing for several days, and as a family, we've been extremely concerned for her welfare. To anybody who's seen, spoken to, or come into contact with Grace, come forward and contact the investigation team.
With so much media coverage at the time, Jessie likely saw her father's appeal, and yet the family's pleas went unanswered. But Auckland police are about to use various methods to track Grace's last movements and find their main suspect in her disappearance. They're able to find out she was on a date with a mystery man, and after poring over hours of surveillance footage, they find the last person she was with, and track him back to his apartment. At 3 p.m. on December 5th, the cops turn up at the City Life Hotel, but they almost miss their man, as he eyes them in the lobby when he approaches the front door. Jesse thinks if he casually strolls away, he won't be noticed. But these eagle-eyed cops don't miss a trick and quickly apprehend him before he can make an escape. At this point, the smartest thing for Jesse to do is to own up to his crime, maybe try to play it off as an accident and face the consequences. But he's not going to do any such thing. In the interrogation room, he plans to lie his way out of this, but he's completely unaware that the cops have already seen every move from the night of the murder and have about as much evidence as they could possibly ask for. At the start of the interview, he has no reason to lie, as he's just recalling the events before the murder.
Tell us about Grace.
So I was talking to Grace on Tinder.
Yeah.
We'd matched on Friday. I saw that we'd matched the next day on Saturday. And then we met at Sky City. And then we decided that we were going up to Andy's Burger Bar, which is on the first floor.
Not long into this interview, Jesse becomes entangled in his first lie, as he claims Grace was the one pushing for a date, when we already know he was the one trying hard to meet Grace in their initial messages.
Whose idea was it to go to that particular burger place?
Me. Because I didn't initially know that she was real.
What do you mean?
Well, there's a lot of... So have you heard of catfish?
No.
So catfishing is where someone uses your profile or uses your photos and pretends to be you and then meets and you're a completely different person.
Right.
And it's on Tinder, it's all about the way you look. And so if they use more endearing photos, you're more likely to swipe for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does meeting in a public place sort of protect you from meeting someone who's not as good looking as...
Well, there's security there. So if she wasn't who she said she was, at least in my mind, I'd feel safe.
When Jesse is confronted with evidence from surveillance cameras, he continues to lie, digging a hole for himself that he's going to struggle to escape from.
No. I go down Victoria Street, straight down to the bottom, and then hang a left, and I head towards the viaduct.
You go to the viaduct a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You've kind of walked in a bit of a funny direction if you were planning to go to the viaduct.
What's the direction I normally go?
Yeah. It's I'm just sort of saying, like, if you were planning to go to the viaduct.
I normally go down Queen Street and then cross at the bottom of Queen Street, go through the containers, and then walk along the wharf.
Yeah. Is there a particular reason you would kind of do that?
I feel safer down that way.
The cop obviously suspects something strange here. Jesse's behavior and responses don't seem to line up or make sense at all, and if Jesse is lying, it'll only take a good few questions to throw him off completely. So the cop starts to apply the pressure, sending Jesse into panic.
Actually don't know if she's been murdered or not yet. She may be alive and well.
Okay.
But she might also be dead. Okay? And it could be that you've done it.
Hey, I just want to ask a question. Have I been arrested for something I didn't do?
You haven't been arrested, mate.
Oh.
No.
Oh. Holy.
He's not being arrested just yet, but Auckland police are convinced Jesse is either behind Grace's disappearance or is at least involved. And the more they investigate this case, the more evidence they find to suggest Jesse is the one responsible. It's not just the surveillance footage that helps solve this case. Remember the new suitcase and cleaning products Jesse bought the morning after? Well, believe it or not, they were all bought on Grace's credit card, as well as an extra night's stay at the City Life Hotel. In fact, it's very possible he paid for his second date on Grace's credit card. An extra day at the hotel should give Jesse time to clean up the mess, but it's going to take more than a carpet cleaner to get rid of the evidence. When police search his apartment, they find traces of Grace's blood. The credit card payments, the witness testimony, cell phone locations placing Grace and Jesse together, and the staggering detail found in the surveillance footage backed their suspect into a corner, and in his second interview on December 7th, they left Jesse no choice but to confess. A confession that would soon lead into one of the most interesting but troubling defenses ever used in court.
Started talking to me about 50 Shades of Grey, which is a sex fantasy movie that's out. We started having sex. At first it was just normal. It was very placid. And then she asked me if we could get into bondage. And then all I remember is falling asleep in the shower. I need to stop. I need to go.
Would you like some fresh air?
Yeah, please. I was in shock and I didn't know what to do. I went downstairs and I was just, I don't know, I was all over the place. I didn't believe what had happened. I was just terrified and scared. I thought that she had gone. I thought she had left.
Pathologist, a specialist doctor, will perform a post-mortem.
Yeah.
They're very skilled at establishing people's causes of death. Do you understand that?
I went to the warehouse at the atrium and bought a suitcase. I went back and I was just in shock because it just didn't seem right. I left to go and get cleaning products. So I messaged a friend and said I'll meet you at Revelry. After finishing drinks with her, I got back to City Life. And the whole time I just kept saying, I'm sorry. And then I went downstairs and I grabbed the porter thing and I put the suitcase on top of the porter thing. I drove the hire car into Wilson's car park and parked it. I woke up the next day at about 5 a.m. and drove the car out to Cumu at first. I picked up a shovel from ITM at Cumu. I ended up driving towards the Waitakaries. I went into the bush, I dug a hole, I went and got the suitcase and I covered the hole, and then I drove.
Where is her possessions?
I threw them in the rubbish.
Whereabouts?
Albert Park, rubbish.
Right. So what items of her property have been disposed of in Albert Park?
Everything.
All of her clothing?
Everything that was in the room.
Whereabouts did you clean the car? The outside of the car?
I think it was in Henderson. I don't know West very well.
Okay. And what did you use to clean the car?
A water blaster thing from a car cleaning place.
Did she have any injuries?
Not that I can remember. I was just panicking.
Did you inflict any injuries on her that caused her to die?
No.
Did you kill Grace Mullane? Okay. And you're under arrest for the murder of Grace Mullane on or about the 2nd of December.
Okay.
You understand?
Yep.
Did you intend to cause her death?
No.
Are you ready to take us to where she is?
The media called it the 50 Shades of Grey defense. The idea is that someone may consent to being harmed during intimacy knowing the dangers involved. If they made no indication to stop, then it would be seen as an accident, and the person responsible shouldn't face a murder charge. But this defense has always been seen as more of a scapegoat, used by lawyers to try and get their defendant off with a lighter sentence, which in this case would be manslaughter. This doesn't change what happened after Grace's death, and the disturbing series of events uncovered during the investigation. From December 1st, the day before the date, all the way to December 7th, cops found Google searches made by Jesse looking for a place to hide the body. He'd also taken photos of Grace's body before and after he packed her into the suitcase. They found Grace's body on December 9th, 2018 in the Waitakere Ranges just outside of Auckland. It was determined that she was strangled and had bruises on her arms and chest consistent with being pinned down. In New Zealand, there's no such thing as first-degree or second-degree murder. All charges are treated the same, carrying a life sentence. That meant there was no investigation into the premeditation. All that mattered was if Jesse killed her or not. It was that simple. Jesse maintained his innocence, but was eventually found guilty, and on February 21st, 2020, he was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum non-parole period of 17 years. After his trial, 2 more women came forward and claimed Jesse had sexually assaulted them after they met him on Tinder. He was found guilty on those charges as well, adding another 11 years to life added to his sentence.
Hello, I'm Melissa Doyle. This is Sunday Night. Dr. Angela J is truly remarkable. She's been through absolute hell, been face to face with evil, a crazed stalker determined to destroy her. But it began quite innocently. Just like thousands of other women, Angela went online on Tinder looking for a soulmate. And for a while there, she thought she'd found him, but she was wrong. So terribly wrong.
Okay, someone's been stabbed.
He wanted to destroy me.
Someone's been stabbed.
All right, are you with them now?
We need police. We need police.
We'll get them there for you. Are you with the patient now?
Yes, we are.
It wasn't good enough to take my life and take me away from all my friends and family. He had to physically actually destroy my body as well.
This is the story of a woman's worst fear.
He was going to force her to have sex with him. Tie her up. He was going to strangle her, pour petrol on her, and then kill her.
He wanted me to be ruined for anyone else.
The nice guy she met on Tinder before he turned bad.
Wow, I'm blown away. Absolutely blown away.
Is the offender still nearby?
Well, we don't know.
The neighbour who risked his own life to save her.
I heard her scream and I was going in there one way or another. He would have got it. I just felt absolutely invincible that day. The adrenaline was just unbelievable. It's just, I would have just done anything.
And in spite of the horror she's been through, the determination of this young woman to help others like her.
I have, in some ways, no choice but to be a strong woman and make a difference.
Angela Jay was a young, hard-working doctor delivering babies. She was based at Port Macquarie on the New South Wales mid-north coast.
You know, bringing new life into the world and, you know, passing a baby on to a new mum and her partner and seeing that look in their eyes, like, it's just beautiful. And I couldn't see myself doing anything else.
She grew up with her single mum, Susan.
She's a very caring woman. She's just absolutely magnificent girl. So proud of her.
And her sister and best friend, Danielle.
She's such a strong individual. She knows exactly what she wants. She's incredibly caring.
In her early 20s, Angela married Ben. Not long after, he joined the Navy. But their busy lives soon pulled them apart. So at 27, she began to look for a new man.
Do you believe in love? I definitely believe in love. It's just that, you know, magical feeling that you get and you just know that you have that deep connection with someone.
And like many young women, she tried the popular dating app Tinder.
It just basically comes up with people in your area that fit the criteria that you've set, basically making a decision about the vibe that you get from that person based on a few photographs.
It's like winning the lotto, actually finding someone on there that actually is compatible with you.
Pretty soon, Angela found a potential match, a 36-year-old insurance manager. Your first impression when you came across Paul Lambert on Tinder, what did you think?
In his photos, he looked just kind of like just a normal guy. Had, you know, looked, you know, pretty handsome in a couple of photos. So I was like, yeah, we'll, you know, have a chat and see where this goes.
You said that when you matched, you were both after the same thing. What were you after?
A serious relationship, basically.
Soon, Paul Lambert was travelling from his home in Sydney to Port Macquarie to see Angela.
I think after our second date, it basically came up that we both had been married before and that it didn't work out. We were ready to settle down again and, you know, just find that life partner.
Paul had recently moved from Brisbane and, strangely, had changed his name from Paul Scales to Paul Lambert. But on his Facebook page, he had plenty of friends, and he seemed to be a kind uncle, taking his nephews fishing. What was he like?
He was very charming, very attentive. It was, I guess, a lot very early on. Like, it was all very fast in that he, you know, wanted to take me out to dinner straight away, was funny, seemed very intelligent, seemed to be driven at work. Basically was ticking all the right boxes that you would look for in a potential partner.
Before long, Angela was ready to introduce him to her family.
This tall, good-looking, very confident, well-presented man walked in with the most amazing bunch of flowers I've ever seen in my life.
I actually messaged her and gave her the tick of approval, and I said, I'm so happy you found Paul. He's great.
I just said to my husband, oh my God, he is a breath of fresh air. He's such a nice man.
Call it male intuition, but Susan's husband, Bill, wasn't so sure.
He shook his head. Within 5 minutes of meeting him, he said to me, there's something wrong with him. And I said, you're very unkind saying something like that when you've just met somebody. And he said, no, Susan, we're going to be picking up the pieces down the track with this, mark my word.
At first, his intensity seemed sweet, but soon it was all too much. Angela, feeling smothered, decided they had no future and attempted to break up.
He was extremely upset, was crying. He just seemed a bit broken. I kind of felt guilty that, you know, have I led him on? You know, it's an awful feeling hurting someone.
But Paul just wouldn't accept it was over.
He started threatening to kill himself and telling me that he was going to jump in front of a truck. I think I started to feel worried about my safety as well.
She was hiding the fact that he was mostly blackmailing her, that he was going to end his life if she were to break up with him.
To keep the peace, Angela agreed he could come to her school reunion here in a sports club on the Central Coast.
In the end, I agreed, okay, you can come, but you just need to just act very normal. I don't want you to make a scene. I didn't want someone's life on my conscience.
But at 1 a.m, Angela's friends called her sister Danielle to come and collect her.
She was just a mess. She was absolutely in tears. And there Paul was, yelling at me.
I was worried for him and what he was potentially capable of, and worried about my personal safety as well, and that I really just wanted to get away from him.
So in the space of a 10-minute drive, I had heard that she's getting emotionally blackmailed, that he's gonna kill himself, that he's bashed his ex-wife, that he's not supposed to be in New South Wales, and he has a criminal record.
Suddenly, it was clear this was not just an intense man broken-hearted. It started to escalate.
I received a message from a man named Dan, who was claiming to be his good friend, and that he had witnessed him try to kill himself, that he had run out onto the street and a truck had swerved and missed him. Obviously, I was very confused, but I immediately felt very guilty.
Angela had no idea that Dan was in fact Paul himself. Finally, a worried Danielle insisted they go to the police.
I put in his name, Paul Lambert. Boom, criminal history. He looked us dead smack in the eyes and goes, this guy is known to police very well, but he's more of a threat to himself than to you.
Angela drove home, 4 hours north to Port Macquarie. But Paul Lambert was not giving up. That Sunday, Lambert arrives by plane from Sydney without telling Angela. He hires a white Corolla, telling the clerk, I've had an argument with my girlfriend and I'm here to make amends.
He wasn't going to take no for an answer in this relationship. I said to her, please give me a call when you get home and make sure every single lock is locked on those doors and every single window is secure.
Sunday afternoon, Lambert comes here to Angela's house, unannounced and carrying luggage. He has a loud argument with Angela, overheard by the neighbours.
He was there waiting for me at my doorstep. So I gave him his things and told him to leave my property and that I never wanted to speak to him again ever, and that I don't want him to contact me, and that I don't want him to come to my house or my workplace. I never want to see him again. He was scaring me, and I told him, you're scaring me, and I just really want you to go away.
Lambert has disappeared down this laneway between the houses. Angela calls the police to tell them what's happened and asks for an apprehended violence order. Lambert has left, but he's far from leaving her alone.
Started sending me basically threatening text messages saying, you're not safe in your house. I have stolen some of your keys. I was just sitting in my house afraid, not knowing what to do. He sent me another message saying, you need to go to your neighbor's house, which terrified me. How do you take that? So I, of course, ran to my neighbor's house and knocked at their door, and somehow tried to tell them, like, look, there's a man that I recently dated who I think is thinking about hurting me.
She started talking and saying all these texts that this guy had sent her. And then she'd called the police and the police were on the way.
I just had this sixth sense there was something going to happen to this girl.
Next,
I was so ashamed that I was in this situation at all. I just felt like I couldn't tell anyone.
Paul Lambert ramps up the pressure.
I heard a noise and I woke Angela up. And I said, what the hell is that noise?
And gets ready to strike. She doesn't know that hiding in the walk-in wardrobe of her bedroom is the man planning to rape and kill her. Dr. Angela Jay has come back to work here at Port Macquarie Base Hospital. She's hoping Paul Lambert has left town, but he's stalking her every move. On Monday, we now know Lambert checked into the Rotary Lodge for families and friends of patients. He pretended he had a sick friend in the mental ward. It's right across the road from where Angela was delivering babies. She's hoping Paul Lambert has left town, but fears he won't give up.
I considered telling my work colleagues what was going on. Maybe not in full, but at least enough to say, oh, hey, don't stress or anything, but if I don't show up to work, you should probably call the police.
Watching from Rotary Lodge was Paul Lambert. In room 17, police later found empty cigarette packets, fruit and drink cans with Lambert's DNA. He'd clearly spent a lot of time peering out of this window, watching Angela's movements to and from the hospital.
I was so ashamed that I was in this situation at all. I just felt like I couldn't tell anyone. I'm a doctor. I'm gonna be an obstetrician. I care for people. I don't need to be taken care of. I can take care of myself. I fix things. Like, I don't need help.
But Angela's mum, Susan, is worried.
I walked into work that morning. I walked straight up to my boss's office and I said, I need some time off work. And he goes, why? And I said, I need to go and spend some time with Angela. I fear for her life.
Mum basically came straight up to Port Macquarie and stayed with me for a few days and cooked me meals and took care of me.
But Lambert started bombarding her with dozens of calls and text messages.
This is my good side. The good side won't last long, especially being rejected.
I literally thought about driving somewhere in my car and sleeping in my car for the night. I thought about going to work and sleeping in our on-call room. I thought about even showing up to emergency and faking to have appendicitis or something.
Susan and Angela barricade themselves inside the house.
Me thinking I could control the situation had figured out which keys were missing, and I actually unscrewed all of the actual locks and doorknobs from all of the doors that it could lock, and kept all my windows shut all the time. It was very stuffy in my house, kept all the curtains drawn. I was afraid to look outside. I just basically tried to lock myself in.
On the Tuesday night, I heard a noise and I woke Angela up and I said, what the hell is that noise? And she goes, oh, it's probably just the cat. And I said, the cat's on the bed. I said, the cat wouldn't make this noise. What was that noise?
On the Wednesday, Lambert came here to the local Bunnings. He bought a hammer and a crowbar. He also armed himself with cable ties. He clearly had trouble on his mind. Next day, Angela's mum, Susan, has to head back to Sydney for work.
My biggest regret is leaving. and going back to work on the Thursday. Because that's the day he struck.
Here at a local Caltex service station, he bought 5 litres of petrol in a jerry can. All the while, Lambert watches and waits. So unhinged, he talks about himself as another person.
For the last 4 days, he has stalked her. He has followed her. He has waited outside her house and waited outside her work. He has waited for the opportunity.
We now know Paul Lambert stalked Angela for days. In this nature reserve at the back of her house, it was easy for him to slip through the bushes unnoticed, over her back fence, and quietly break into her home.
Thursday, I came home. The blinds in that front window were up, and I saw a bloke standing there with no shirt on, and I thought it was a bit odd.
I just felt really calm. I can't explain why. My cat Armani was still at my house, and Mum had left some food at my house, so it was daytime. I thought, look, I'm just gonna quickly duck home, quickly have some dinner, feed Armani, and grab some clothes, and then I'll go to my cousin's house.
Angela gets home from the hospital around 5. She has spaghetti for dinner and watches a bit of TV. She doesn't know that hiding in the walk-in wardrobe of her bedroom is the man planning to rape and kill her. Coming up.
He raised a big rectangular can over my head and started pouring petrol over my head.
The frenzied attack.
I was just terrified that any second I would go up in flames.
And a hero comes to the rescue.
We heard this almighty screaming, and then I knew there was something horribly wrong.
It's 6 o'clock at night. Dr. Angela J heats up some of her mum's spaghetti. Down the hallway, Paul Lambert is hiding, silently, in her bedroom. Angela has her dinner in front of the TV. And then...
I just needed to grab some clothes from my bedroom, which was at the very end of the house. So I started walking down that way. And as I was turning the corner to enter my bedroom, he jumped out at me. And I screamed, obviously. And he put his hand around my mouth so that I couldn't scream. And looked me in the eye with a really intense look. And he said, "It's okay. I just want to talk." He got me when I was actually busting to use the loo. And I was trying to process what had just happened and buy some time. So I said, "Look, I really need to use the toilet. Can I at least do that?" So he allowed me to, but had the door open and watched me. I was shaking uncontrollably and just trying to think what I could do. He then told me to sit on my bed.
As Lambert interrogates Angela about who she's been staying with and whether it was a man, somehow she gathers her wits and her courage.
I realised that I had to try to get away or die trying, because I wasn't going to just sit and wait around to find out what he wanted to do to me. So I just made a run for it. He, of course, caught me. And then I just suddenly saw this knife in his hands. And I didn't actually feel him stabbing me, but I could see the blood when I looked down, and I just thought in my head, oh my God, he's actually stabbing me. He's gonna actually kill me. And I was so scared, and I felt so alone. And that I was just gonna die in this big house, stupidly, that I should never have gone back to. And that I would never see my friends or family again.
At that moment, neighbour Steve takes his dog outside to go to the toilet.
And then we heard this almighty screaming. And then I knew there was something horribly wrong. Grabbed this steel bar that I've got in there for work and bolted down that driveway.
I managed to stand up, but then he grabbed me again. And then he raised a big rectangular can over my head and started pouring petrol over my head. My eyes were burning, and it got in my mouth, and it got in my ears. And I can't even explain the horror you feel when you know that somebody is trying to set you on fire. I was just terrified that any second I would go up in flames.
Ran down this driveway, and when I got to the top here, I could hear someone thundering down the hallway. Like, it sounded like a herd of elephants.
I think it made me a little bit slippery, so I somehow got out of his grasp and just ran for the front door.
I got about 15 foot from the door, and the door opened and Angela came running out. All I could smell was petrol.
I just kept saying over and over again, I'm gonna bleed to death, I'm gonna bleed to death. Please call an ambulance, I'm gonna bleed to death.
I know I had my arm around her and I dragged her up here and went straight up into our garage, which the garage door was up.
Once I'd seen them come out, then I ran inside. Then I got the phone. Because Dad's saying, where's your phone? Call the ambulance.
Yeah.
Steve's daughter Amy and another neighbour Brendan both call 000.
Is there any serious bleeding?
Yes, there is.
Is she completely alert?
Yes, she is.
And what part of her body is injured?
Her leg and her arm.
Her upper or lower?
Yes. Upper arm and her leg.
We came up here and Amy was over that side and I was here. And I put this over here and Angela was laying right here with her face to me. She was very, very calm. She stayed very, very calm and collected and gave us a few instructions, I think. Amy ran inside and we got some pillow slips and towels.
Dad had a towel wrapped around her leg up here.
There's a lot of blood. She lost a lot of blood, yeah.
My face was just burning, my face burned, and all I could smell was petrol. So I asked Steve to find some water to wash off my face.
I didn't realise till I got her up in here, and I could still smell petrol, that she was covered in petrol. My lunchbox was just there, and there was a bottle of water in there. I washed her face because it was burning, because it was red.
He was holding her hand and talking to her, and I was holding her back saying, you're doing awesome, and things like that.
And then the ambulance arrived, and I was just so happy to see them. And they were so lovely and were so great. And I'm sure I was being a very difficult patient because I just immediately started bossing them around.
At the back of Angela's house, in his white rented Corolla, Paul Lambert flees the horror he's inflicted. But extraordinarily, he now begins to make a series of phone calls. As Angela is being rushed to hospital, Steve, who's in the ambulance with her, answers her phone.
I said, "Who is it?" And then he said, as calm in the calmest voice, "How is she?" And then I thought, holy shit. This is the bloody bloke that's done this.
I didn't mean to do it, you know.
I just called him an effing bastard. I said, "How the effing hell do you think she is, you effing bastard?"
Then, Paul Lambert sends text messages to Angela's mum, Susan.
They were cruel. Absolutely cruel.
What did he say?
I tried to stop him. He was talking as though he was a third person. That he tried stopping him.
In his car, heading north out of Port Macquarie, Lambert is now on the phone talking with police.
He was going to force her to have sex with him. And then he was going to tie her up, then he was going to strangle her.
He talks about the attacker again, as if it's someone else.
He was going to pour petrol on her and kill her.
Detective Senior Constable Sean Durbridge tries to persuade Lambert to give himself up.
I'm concerned about you. I don't want you shot. I don't want you hurt.
No, mate. No, I need to take my own life.
In his disturbed state, he's slipping in and out of talking about himself as another person.
No, I saw the evil today. I watched it happen. I watched it in my own head, and I wasn't strong enough to stop it. I do evil things.
Well, you're talking pretty rational at the moment.
That's because I'm me. I don't know how long I'm still going to be me.
Calmly, Lambert warns that police should guard Angela.
All right, you need to make sure that I can't turn up there.
And her mother and sister, because his alter ego might attack them.
You need to get a police officer to her sisters and mums, because I know they live on the Central Coast.
Then he asks how Angela is.
Is she alive?
She's alive.
Just want to talk to her, all right, and tell her that I'm so sorry about what happened to her. I tried to stop it, you know? She's never going to speak to me.
Can I meet with you? Have a talk?
No, mate. No. I need to take my own life.
Paul Lambert ends the phone call, but police have used his mobile signal to track where he is, now 150 kilometres north of Port Macquarie. Here at the Archfield Station Road overpass, highway police are ready. They fling spikes in front of Lambert's car, bringing him to a halt. As Lambert jumps from his car, he pulls a knife. It's clear he won't surrender peacefully. Coming up, Lambert's final showdown with police. Lambert emerges with a knife, threatening police. They try to taser him, but it fails. And his darkest secrets revealed.
Paul Lambert is a monster, and he'll always be a monster in my eyes.
As Angela is rushed into hospital in Port Macquarie, 2 hours after the attack, Paul Lambert is fleeing north on the highway when he's stopped by police. Lambert emerges with a knife, threatening police. They try to taser him, but it fails. Lambert then runs 500 metres, brandishing his knife 2 police officers shoot him down, firing many shots. Paul Lambert is dead.
He was gone and he couldn't hurt me anymore or come back to get me one day. It was a huge, huge relief.
And when we walked into the hospital, Angela said he'd been shot dead. And you just don't even know how to react with something like that. The relief more than anything.
Almost a euphoric sense, like, you know, I somehow got away and he's gone. I don't have to worry, like, I'm well and truly safe.
Safe, but badly wounded. Angela has 11 stab wounds to her body. Remarkably, within weeks, she was back at work delivering babies.
She's so strong, physically and mentally. She was strong enough to fight off a 6-foot-something big man and get away. And then strong to reassure her family the night of almost being murdered that it's going to be okay.
My daughter doesn't have to worry about this monster any longer, because Paul Lambert is a monster. And he'll always be a monster in my eyes.
But somehow, this monster had a charming side. Just months before, with football legend Wally Lewis, he'd raised $50,000 for an old school friend.
I had some State of Origin tickets to the stadium and thought I'll just try and raffle them off.
He ran a remarkable internet campaign to help buy an assistance dog for his friend's autistic daughter.
Wow, I'm blown away. Absolutely blown away.
Yet this same man had a dark history of stalking and violence against a series of young, attractive women as far back as 2003.
Yes, I am Paul. One of 9 personalities. I have all memories of others, and none of the others have mine.
In 2015, he was deported from the United States after stalking a former girlfriend, TV reporter Anne Keel. A year later, he was charged with assaulting his then wife, Samantha Inkpen. A Brisbane psychologist who saw him 17 times diagnosed him with borderline personality disorder and as suicidal. But he said he had not lost his ability to understand right from wrong.
I'm a psychopath at times. Other times, I'm normal.
I don't think he was intending on me surviving, but I think he wanted me to be unrecognizable, and I can't really think about it because I just can't fathom how someone would feel that way about someone else.
For Angela, survival has given her a new sense of purpose.
I feel like I didn't die for a reason, and that I now am here to make as much of a difference as I can and to help as many people as I can.
Next, the scars remain.
I don't cover them up. They remind me what I've survived and what I've been through.
But Angela begins a new life.
I'm determined to make something positive come out of this.
Five months on, Dr. Angela J has largely recovered physically, but emotionally, she's still fragile.
Are you starting to feel stronger?
Yeah, sometimes I'll feel like I'm kind of moving on, and then the next week I might feel a bit down again, so it's a bit up and down at the moment.
May I ask you about your scars? Do you cover them up?
No, I don't cover them up. They remind me what I've survived and what I've been through. And I will carry them forever. I have no choice. So I have chosen to think of them positively as much as possible.
Angela's shocking experience has inspired her to join White Ribbon, the national campaign against domestic violence.
It's serious hiking, guys.
To raise awareness, she's training for White Ribbon's Trek for Respect, a week-long hike on the tough Larapinta Trail in the Northern Territory.
I'm really looking forward to hopefully breaking a sweat and hopefully not too many tantrums along the way.
Welcome, welcome.
With Angela on the trek will be her dad, Steve, and her brother, Zach.
You're a 19-year-old young man. Why is it important that you support White Ribbon?
It's actually men taking a stand, and I think that's very important, especially for, you know, what happened with my sister.
It's so great to do something with Ange, and it's, you know, it's like every day that I can spend with her is a gift.
Yeah.
To do it with White Ribbon, and really, you're out in what's a very sacred part of Australia.
Hey, here's cheers then. Here's to the trek. Yeah, cheers. Good luck. 65 Ks.
She is casting a light on women's role, standing next to the men's role in this campaign, to talk about the issue of violence against women, to understand how it happens, and to better engage men in driving change so that we can prevent this from happening in the first place.
Angela hopes more men will stand up, like her neighbour, Steve Wilden.
You know, she was so brave, like, and I was channeling all the strength from her.
He tries to brush it off as anyone would do the same thing, but I know that's not true. It takes a special person to suspect something serious is happening behind closed doors and to actually take action and to try to help that person.
Like Angela, it's taken Steve a while to recover.
I didn't sleep for 2 days.
Or eat much?
Yeah, nah, it's just... Didn't eat or sleep, didn't even have a beer.
Which is not like him.
Nah. Yeah, it shook me around the first few days, I'll tell you, yeah.
You know you're a hero, don't you?
I don't see that way, no. It was just... I was just in the right place at the right time, and in my eyes, she's a hero, not me.
I think it's pretty impossible to come out of a near-death experience and not try to find some sort of spiritual meaning behind it.
Somehow, this survivor is still full of hope for a family of her own.
One day, I'd definitely love to have, you know, that special partner that's there to support me and, you know, if I'm having a bad day, will make me feel better when I come home and will hopefully take the lead with raising the children.
I'll be like an interrogator with the next person Angela goes out with.
You and Danielle together?
Yes. There'll be an interviewing panel.
Being out on the water, does it heal you?
I think so. I think the sea and the ocean has a very powerful cleansing ability, and I think it kind of represents life in a way. There's some days that it's very rough and stormy, and then other days it's very peaceful and beautiful, and I can't help but feel really happy and at peace whenever I'm on a beach.